This place is a disaster and needs to be cleaned now. I have some mice that are acting a little bit sick in my grow out tank. That is the tank where I put them between weaning and when they're sold, or put into my big sorority tank, as you can see here. That is where they get bigger, you know, they start to learn social cues, and they get bonded if they are going to go to new homes with other litters. I have some mice that are acting, I noticed it today, they're acting a little bit lethargic, slow moving. Their water bottle was completely full, which is really weird because I usually clean that or refill it every single day, sometimes twice a day. And it was full, and so they're not drinking normally. I've seen them all eat. So I'm going to deep clean that enclosure, deep clean my other cages, just to see if it's a virus. It could be a respiratory issue, I'm not sure. But they are all still active, just not active as I'd like them to be. So I'll be deep cleaning that with some bleach, white vinegar, safely of course. To hopefully try to eliminate anything, maybe starting to dose with some antibiotics, but we will see. Hopefully nothing is wrong and the water bottle was clogged or something. That's fingers crossed. Was looking around, trying to figure some things out, evaluating what extra cages I had, and I have 2 grow out boys in a 20-gallon tank. They are still very young, so they can still be with each other. If you don't know, males should never be housed together. They will fight each other to the death, inevitably, even if they're siblings. But I have these 2 boys who are around 5 weeks old, so they haven't started fighting yet. So they are still being kept together in a cluttered 20-gallon, but I think I'm going to move them into something slightly smaller just for right now while I clean out the grow out tank, because my grow out is this bottom Bucat State one that you can see right here. So it's the 100 centimeters, so I'm not sure exactly how many gallons is it. It might be like 50, something like that. So what I think, while I'm determining if I have any sort of illness or virus spreading in my grow out tank, I'm going to move all of those girls into the 20-gallon, deep clean this tank, air it out for a couple days, make sure nothing is still alive, do multiple cleanings. And then I am going to move the boys into one of my lab bins. It's obviously not ideal, but it's all I have to work with right now. And I feel like I'm kind of on a time crunch if I want to, you know, knock whatever this is out quickly. So I will be moving them into that. They will be fine for a few days while I figure something out in that. But this is just my temporary solution, I guess, for cleaning out this tank. I have made the lab bin as cluttered as possible for right now, and then I'm going to move the bucks over there. This is my first buck that I'm moving, and he is being evaluated as a potential keeper. I do already have a merle buck, but this little guy is very, very sweet and he is gorgeous. And so I am thinking about replacing my other merle buck with him. My other one is much lighter and has way more sparse roning, which is the pattern that makes it merle. Little guy is very dark. He is a Rex, so he has thicker hair that was curly when he was younger. You might be able to see it, I'm not sure. But so I don't really want that in my merle line. But you know, we kind of have to outweigh the benefits. This little guy has a perfect temperament, exactly what I'd want in one of my bucks. So that's why I'm kind of waiting to see when he matures if I will end up keeping him and replacing my other buck with him or not. The other thing is my other buck has a longer tail, which is something that you want when breeding. And this little guy has kind of a shorter one, but it is all beautifully the same color, which is not something you see a lot. Or when you're breeding like pied and you have pied in that line, which I do. So this is definitely something good. My other boy is a fuzzy. He is around 5 weeks old, just like the other one. They're different litters, but like I've said, before they sexually mature, you can keep them together for a little bit before they start to fight. I've been wanting a fuzzy line for a long time. These little guys were some fun surprises from my hairless doe. So as you can see, he's got these beautiful big ears. He also has a very good temperament. He is not being raised as a replacement. He is being raised as a foundational guy on his own. So again, waiting to see before I move him to a solo buck bin, waiting to see what his personality ends up being. But so far I'm very impressed. He was very good as a hopper as well, which is the phase between when they open their eyes and when they become fully fledged, like mini adults. So it's between like 3 and 4 weeks. They're in the hopper stage, and they are horrible to manage. I don't like them. But I will get him up close so you can, not sure how good this camera will be at focusing, but there he is. So yes, he is the second buck moving over. And I had mentioned I was going to talk about some of my goals for the Mousery for this new year, and having a couple bucks, one for each line, is ideal and what I'd like. But I want them all to be visually sound, temperamentally sound, health sound. I don't know how to say that. But I want them to kind of be the perfect bucks. I would like to just have like 5 or 6 bucks, but it's really hard to just maintain those couple because they do all need their own enclosure. They all, need their own resources, enrichment, quality time with you, stuff like that. And but it's very hard to say no when you get a good buck. And it's really hard to replace your bucks. Sometimes if you have 2, ones you really like, it's really hard to say no to one and yes to the other. And it's very hard as a Mousery. I mean, for me, I can't speak for other people, but for me, it is very hard to just stick to a couple lines. I had cut down a lot, but those numbers are slowly creeping back up again due to no fault of my own. But I just can't decide which lines I want to focus on. So, long story short, I want to have 1 buck for each line, have them all be really good examples of what a good foundational buck should be. And yeah, like I've said, I just want to kind of stick to 5 or 6. How many bucks do I have right now? I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, yeah. I have 5 breeding bucks all in their own bins right now. And then I have 1 retired buck, 1 rescue buck, and then 4, these 2 growing out for potential prospects. And then I have another one who I don't want to get rid of him. I love him so much. He's just so pretty. Okay, I'll show him to you. Whatever. This little guy. Oh, he is a splash pointed, but he doesn't have much splash. He mostly just has the points, and he is just so smushy and just a sweet little guy who loves rubs, and he's very easy to handle. And I don't need him because I said I wasn't going to do anything with my pointed line. But I don't know. I don't know if I'm going to keep him or not, but he has these beautiful ruby eyes. And he's still a little bit nervous. You can see he's kind of like pancaking a bit, which is what some mice do when they're nervous, but he is getting a lot better. He's still actively exploring. He's just kind of making himself seem a little smaller, but he's still actively exploring my hand. And he's just a happy guy. Hey, buddy. So I don't know if I'll keep him or not. But if anyone was interested in him, I would let him go to a good home. But if not, I will probably just keep him because I just can't say no to this guy. As I transfer over the babies, I'm going to be applying permethrin to all of them. This is an insecticide and it eliminates mites and prevents them from coming back. I've had mites before and it sucks like nobody's business. So anytime literally anything is wrong with my mice, I reapply this because mites can lead to dehydration. And some of my mice, some of those symptoms that I was talking about could be dehydration, because I was also talking about how the water bottle looked like it might have been clogged. So just to eliminate all possibilities, I will be adding this to them. This is really, really strong. So I just do a small dab on their back, and it's a topical appointment. So you put it on their back and then it spreads, but put it in a spot where they can't reach. Oh my gosh, hello. So this has been happening. The youngest batch of mice is really small. So they've been able to crawl through the gaps at the top of the BCAT state. And then they come say hi to me. They were jumping and escaping, caught them all, because you can't, the crack in my door is too small for them to get through. So I've been catching them in the mouse room, but now they've stopped doing that, luckily, because they've now gotten to the age where they realize height. So they don't jump from here anymore. So I just got a sneaky little friend come to say hi to me. So she is the first one who will be going in the new tank. Just a small dab. There we go. Get on in there. You volunteered. Don't blame me. Let me, if you can guys see, there's a little cuddle puddle happening right by the door. Sorry to interrupt, Lise. Hello. Their butthole phase, the hopper phase I was talking about, I mean, they got out of it a while ago, but now they are maturing and coming into their true temperaments, and they are getting a lot more behaved. They're becoming a lot sweeter and a lot more welcoming to me when I come to the door. They realize that I mean food and cuddles and all that good stuff. About New Year's resolutions, I also want to decrease the amount of does that I have. Does are female mice, in case you don't know. Hello. But in my normal sorority, I have a lot of retired does. I normally keep all of my does until they pass. But the amount I have right now is kind of getting ridiculous. Like literally majority in there are retired, and they are taking up a lot of prime real estate and kind of, you know, keeping me from being able to move up as many does as I'd like, because takes a lot for me. I didn't have my mic on this whole time. I didn't have my mic on. You'll hear me because I talk too much to be editing that out. Professional yapper. So I am now debating on reselling, or not reselling, rehoming some of my retired does. The ones that are like very old, that are like over a year and don't have, or like I guess a year and a few months, because a year isn't that old. But those I wouldn't rehome, because this has been their home their entire lives, or since I got them. And I want them to be where they know for the end part of their life. So, ooh, I got a 2-for-1. So I would be retiring or rehoming the freshly retired mice. Hello. So the ones that are, you know, 6 to 9 months, that have just done their time. And now I want them to go to a nice forever home where they don't have to live with all these young rascally babies. So I'm thinking about doing that, and then that will drastically decrease the amount of doughs I have in there. So that's a thought. I'm not sure what I'll be doing because of course I have attachments to all of them. But, you know, I know some other breeders do this and they, come on. Oh good, all the easy ones to catch have already come up, so now it's the sprinters. Cages sounds like a really good idea and a really good way to save space until it's cleaning day and you have to shovel all of the bedding out from the front opening instead of it being really easy to pull out from the top. So that's fun. Cleaned out now, I have disinfected it, but as I was moving them over, I realized that I think it was a hydration issue with the water bottle because they have perked up a lot since this morning when I first noticed it. And I had put another water bottle in there, made sure the other one wasn't clogged, and added a bunch of cucumbers, and they came back normal weanlings. So I think it was that. But I'm glad I did this anyways, because it's nice to have them in a smaller cage and, you know, just to be careful in case it does end up being something else. It's always nice to be proactive and take care of it like that. But I also think that I won't be putting any more mice back in here. I think I'm going to move other stuff around, put my grow outs in my Proly cage back here, because I will be putting something else in here in the near future. And I will be doing another deep clean as well when that comes time in a few weeks. So this needed to be cleaned out anyways, and I'm glad that I'm not going to have mice in it for a little bit just to eliminate any sort of like cross-species contamination. Obviously there's another full stack of mice up here, but I think I'm going to end up separating them because I don't really like working with them when they're on the bottom and it's not easy to clean, and for like interaction purposes, the ones on the top get to see me a lot more than the ones on the bottom. So I'm glad I did this, and now it is empty and ready to deep sanitize for whatever goes in here next. Now the next thing I will be doing is checking on one of my litters. Now this is a litter that I'm very excited about. I am not sure who I'm keeping quite yet and who I'm going to release, but it's a very small litter. It's just a litter of 3. Right now they are in this box. I see a lot of people, of course, you know, say, why are your mice in these small boxes? That's not ethical, blah, blah, blah. When it comes to nursing moms, you want them to be in a small cage. Nursing moms get very stressed out, especially first-time moms, and they will often eat their young if they feel there is too much space to protect. So you just need a very simple cage for them to make their own. They will nest in it. You want to provide a lot of nesting materials, and you really only need the essentials. So food, nesting materials, a water bottle, a hide. You can put something to chew on. You can put more enrichment as the babies grow. But my moms are usually in this from birth to, or a couple days before birth until maybe right before weaning. If I do have extra cage space, I will upgrade them. But I won't ever put them in with other mice until they're fully weaned. Otherwise, they will fight, or at least in my experience, the moms will fight because they think that there's a whole nother litter that's competing for their resources. So I usually will just keep them in here until they graduate to the grow-out tank. And this is where I will do my temperament testing as well. Ooh, but yes, most of my nursing moms are in something like this or in a lab bin. Hello. So Nellie is our mom, and she is a Manx mouse. So that means she doesn't really have a tail. This is something that can be bred just like being hairless, she's my only Manx mouse. Well, my only adult Manx mouse. But she had 3 babies. This is her second litter. So I am very excited for this batch. I believe it's 2 boys and a girl. But I'm not 100% positive. She just had 3, so I kept all 3. So these babies are in their hopper phase. Very beginning of their hopper phase, but still hopper phase. That means they are realizing that there is more to life than their mom. So they will be jumpy, they will be turds. Some are worse than others, but this is when they're on their worst behavior. So let's see, there's only 3. I haven't checked on them in a couple days, so they have opened their eyes. Hello, little one. Go in with mama. There you go. And then, oh, the other 2 are sleeping so soundly. I hate to wake them up, but I gotta clean your cage. Oh, she doesn't even realize. Hello. So she is the only Manx that Nellie had. She is the only baby that inherited her mom. And is she even a girl? She is. Oh, thank God. Okay. Whew, I was like, I don't need another book. And then one I'm very, very excited about. Try the pattern has been on my breeding plans for a very long time, and I finally produced my first Try baby. Both of their parents are Satin Splash, so Splash and Try kind of go together, and so I guess the genetics just work together, right? And I got a single Try baby, and he is a boy, of course. I made sure to check him a while ago, but oh, let me make sure you can see. He's just a little baby. He's just a little guy. Oh my gosh. So, and he has ruby eyes, and I love ruby eyes. Some people aren't a fan. That's cool. Personal preference. But I'm a ruby-eyed girly. So, I will probably be keeping this little boy. This batch of hoppers is actually very well tamed. I mean, they just opened their eyes. So, in a couple days, they'll be like maximum capacity buttholeness, but right now they are just being sweetie little babies. So I'm going to clean their cage and then put them back in their nest before they get too stressed out. So I will be cleaning another batch of babies. This baby batch is older. They're around 4 weeks, so they are completely weaned, moving independently from mom. They are good to go. But with the stuff going on in the grow-out cage, I am going to give them some more time with mom. All of them may move into my main sorority in a little bit because I don't want to keep them in a small cage longer than I need to. But just till I see what's going on, see if there is in fact something going on in the grow-out tank. But I'm going to be cleaning out these babies. Mom had a batch of black tans and then 1 pink-eyed whites. So that means this one is like a poor tan. The line isn't really defined, but top is black, bottom is tan. So when you refer to a tan mouse, you're talking not the actual color of the body is tan, but the belly is tan. Mom did raise this batch with her daughter, one of her daughters, because they really loved each other and I didn't want to separate them, and I put the other 2, up for adoption, so they've gone to their forever homes, but I just couldn't bear to separate them. So she has been the mom's nursemaid. So I think if I do end up rehoming the mom, because I was talking about rehoming my retired does, then I will probably ensure that they go together because they are about as bonded as mice can be. I have gotten done pretty much everything I needed to get done today. Food, watered, cleaned, bought some supplies I needed, took some pictures. So the rest is just doing some general cleanup because bedding gets literally everywhere. So I just wanted to yap at you for a little bit and kind of go over, I guess, what the point of this video was, which was my New Year's resolutions, or I guess goals in the Mousery. So I had said the first one was to get just solid small amount of really good bucks. Second was to decrease the amount of does that I have and mice in general. 3, which is new, I am getting 2 new species that I know of in the Mousery this year. One of them will be for breeding, the other one will not. That will just be a fun personal pet for me. But the other one I am getting a breeding pair, so I'm really excited about that. Something I guess that's not, that I can't really help, is to have pygmy dormice babies and to have black and Isle spiny mice babies. They have yet to do anything, so I'm just going to keep giving them a good home, giving them lots of protein, and hoping that at some point something happens, because I'd really like the chance to, you know, handle those babies and see what the actual breeding portion is like, as well as, you know, the keeping portion. My other resolution is I really need to keep the mouse room a lot cleaner than it is. I get so overwhelmed so quickly because it's so dirty, and I am not a clean as you go girly. I am let's make it as horrible as possible and then have a mental breakdown and freak out and then have to clean the whole thing and spend an entire day working on it. So my goal is to reorganize it. I'd like to make it a cuter place to be, because right now it's very functional, but it is not aesthetic. It's not cute. No one actually wants to spend time in here other than, you know, be with the mice. So that is a big goal of mine. There are some certain lines of mice I'd like to get in eventually. I'd really like to get into some extreme black at some point, but that can be hard to find. Tries, I really want my blue line to take off. Right now I just have a blue buck and a blue doe, you know. So yes, I'd like to increase the overall temperament of my mice. I want them to be extremely handleable. I want them to be as different from pet store mice as they can possibly be. I want them to be really good pets that want to spend time with you. I'm working there now. I'm, you know, scores ahead of what it could be, but when you're breeding, you are breeding to improve your standards and what you already have. So if you're not working towards something, you shouldn't be breeding. So yeah, those are just some big things that I want to do in 2026, as well as make more TikToks, make more YouTubes, do all that good stuff. This has been really fun. So thank you guys for following along with me. Bye.